Hello guys, this is your friend Naruto Audio Fanfics and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if broken Naruto found light and love in Sakura, Hinata, Ino, Tenten and Temari, Part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. I want to run. Get the demon. Don't let him escape. I want to hide. He's right over there. Corner him. I want to tear down the walls that hold me inside. Alright. We've got him now. I want to reach out and touch the flame. Oi kid, you're gonna die if this keeps up. Kill him. Kill the demon. Blue eyes brightened with intensity, glaring at all those who dared come near him. His muscles tensing, his whole body filled with chakra, rage was clearly felt throughout the street. I want to feel sunlight on my face. Yet, why? The mob were confused. Why was the face filled with sorrow? I watched the dust cloud disappear, without a trace. Some in the crowd left, apparently overwhelmed by the pain emitted from the boy, and guilt filled their hearts, making them reconsider their opinions and thoughts. I want to take shelter from the poison rain. But the rest of them, consumed by hatred and anger, attacked me. Kit. It's October the 10th, my birthday. Kicks and punches rained down on the poor kid, villagers beating him from all directions, some even used iron pipes and the chunins involved had gone as far as using brass knuckles. You bastards. Kit. Hang in there. Why? Why is this happening to me? You don't deserve to live, you filth. Just because the Kyuubi is sealed within me. You're a demon. Or just because the whole village is too ignorant to look past the basics. Die. I'm just a kid, a 7-year-old kid. Some of the mob had turned their attention to the kid's apartment and began to vandalize it, destroy it. And they dare call me a demon. Foolish mortals. Should I feel sad? Should I feel hatred? Should I feel anger? They had broken into his house, and began smashing up the interior. Yes, I should, but I won't. I will not give up. All of a sudden, gasps were heard and in front of them, stood a livid old man, wearing a hat with the kanji, shadow, on it. I will believe, in those that are precious to me, to save me, and accept me. Hokage-sama. We're just. Silence. You, how could you? How could you do this to a mere boy? How could you? I trust them, with all my heart. Look at him. Is he the demon you are so afraid of? Is that the state of the almighty Kyuubi? Look at him. I will overcome this. You insolent fools. Taking out your anger on a child and disrespecting the legacy of Yondaime. Despicable. I will become Hokage, and protect everyone. Take them away, lock them up for a week, and send the chunins to Ibiki for punishment. Strip them of their shinobi titles. Now go. Hi, Hokage-sama. Because I am Uzumaki Naruto. And that was the last thought that came to mind as the blonde-haired boy fell into a blissful darkness. He felt calm, and peaceful, something he had not felt for a long time. He had decided, ever since the old man told him what Hokage stands for, he has vowed to work as hard as he could to protect the village. This village. Konohagakure. I will believe. Scene change. Where am I? What? No. What did you say? Stammered the girl with pale blonde hair. I'm not your friend anymore. Goodbye. Her lips quivered and she rushed at him, grabbing his arm, but why? Why won't you play with me anymore? Did I do anything? I'm sore. No, you did nothing. Don't ask why. I just can't. No. The girl could do nothing as she watched her best friend dash away from her, running down the streets. She didn't understand why, and tears were flowing freely as she dropped onto the ground, on her knees and cried. No, that's not what I wanted. No. Where are you going? Asked the pink-haired girl, whom he had just saved. I can't tell you, but just remember, always treasure your friends. Come on, There's a girl that really needs you. Don't. Please don't. Not again. But what about you? I want to be friends with you. The boy merely shook his head sadly as he ran off once again, leaving the dumbfounded girl on her own, with another girl, who was playing with the slides all by herself. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Naruto-kun. Naruto-kun. Are you alright? A white ceiling came into view as his eyes flashed open, his breathing rough and his heart beating at a ridiculously quick pace as he took in his surroundings. So, I'm in the hospital again. He took in the worried face of the Hokage and the tense stances of the Anbu behind him and gave a genuine smile, before calming himself down. Oji-san, I'm fine. Sandaime Hokage breathed a sigh of relief. Guilt and pain tore through his heart as he remembered the desperate cries of the boy, begging for forgiveness and yelling that he was sorry. What kind of a Hokage am I if I cannot even protect him? Naruto examined himself and chuckled bitterly. Well, looks like I'm back to normal. When can I be released? The old man sighed as he took another puff out of his pipe and replied, You're free to go anytime you want, but given the state of your house, I'm fine with it. Those words flew out of his mouth, causing shocked looks to be sent at him. But he didn't care. He just wanted to be alone for now. The guilt was wrecking him, and he didn't want to worry the Hokage over trivial matters like this. Sarutobi looked at him, before giving a slight nod, alright then. But Naruto-kun, please be careful. And also, could you drop by my office tomorrow? There is something I want to give you. Naruto gave a slight grin, before edging himself off the bed, and as painful as it was, forced himself to limp back towards his house, or what's left of it. The dog-masked Anbu made a motion to help him, but was stopped by the Hokage. No. Leave him be. But Hokage-sama, the state he is in, surely he should stay. I know Kakashi. But what he needs right now, isn't rest. He wants to be alone, he needs time to think and forget. Half an hour later, Naruto arrived in front of his apartment, ignoring the graffiti and the broken door. He made his way in and stared at the scene in front of him, before he made his way into the bedroom. Gently prying away the debris on the floor, he reached under his bed and pulled out a small box. He bit his lips and slowly opened it, taking out a scarf and a fox plushie he got for his birthday last year. It was one of the best ones he had. He chuckled as he wrapped the scarf tenderly around the fox plushie, then, he carried it in his arms and sat on his bed. Tears were brimming in his eyes, yet it wasn't because of all that he had been through an hour ago. No, it was because he had broken a promise. Kit. Naruto gave a sigh, before placing the plushie down and got into his meditation position. Alright, I'm back Fox, what do ya want? HMPH, this is the tone I get after healing your injuries. It was your fault that I'm even getting injuries in the first place. TCH, whatever. Look, I don't usually do this. But I want you to know, that alright, I sympathize you. Just take it easy, Kit. I mean, never mind. Never was any good at this kind of stuff anyway. Thanks, Fox. I really appreciate it. Well, I would be dead if it weren't for you. Now, as we agreed, you shall now be able to work on your chakra nature manipulation. But for now, just rest, Kit. Don't want you to overstress yourself. The old man must have something to give you. Might even be a good birthday present. Grr. What the hell do I care? I swear you've been rubbing off on me. Well, next time then. Bye. Wait, Kit. Happy 7th birthday. ... Thanks, Fox. And with that, Naruto left the cage and returned back to reality. He sighed as he got up, knowing that he was going to have to clean this all up. And just like before, he searched out a snapped broom and a dustpan, and began the tedious cleaning procedure. Welcome to my life. Help. Help. Anybody. Don't worry. I'm fine. Cough. But you're bleeding, and. He gave her a wide smile before slowly pushing himself up off the ground. Really, I'm fine. He tried to make a pose but soon stopped due to the immense pain it was causing. Really? Her beautiful cerulean eyes widened. He chuckled and nodded, before asking her, "You alright then?" She quickly nodded, but that worried expression just would not leave her face. Mum says that injured people have to go to the hospital. No, no, I'm fine. Nothing to worry about. He was caught by surprise when the girl hugged him tightly, shouting, "Don't lie. You're hurt. You're hurt." "Yeah, I guess I am. BBBBRRRRRRRRRRRIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIIII. His eyes flashed open, the loud noise echoing in his brain, scattering his thoughts as he was awakened abruptly by his stupid alarm clock. Grr. If only I could get one that's less annoying, he grumbled as he stopped it and stood up, thinking about his dream, or rather. Never mind. He sighed before remembering, oh right, the old man wants me. Better hurry. He took a quick shower, pulled on his clothes and made a dash for the Hokage Tower. There they were again, those hateful glares, those disgusting leers. Naruto willed himself to run faster, closing his eyes as he rushed through the streets, not wanting his day ruined first thing in the morning. At the Hokage Tower, holy, was all Naruto could manage as he saw the huge line outside the door of the Hokage's office. He slumped his shoulders, "Oh, you've got to be kidding me." And he sighed as he accepted his fate and stepped behind the 151st person and waited for the line to move on. Yet, just then, his savior appeared. It turned out to be the Hokage's secretary. "Ah, Naruto-kun. Hokage-sama is waiting for you. Come now, run along." Her smile was genuine. Naruto loved this lady. She held no grudge against him whatsoever, seeing him for who he was, and treated him with respect even. Arigato, Izumi Ne-chan. And with his trademark grin, he accepted her hand and allowed her to lead him. He knew when not to act like a dumb idiot. Now was definitely the time, especially when 150 diplomats were eyeing you with jealousy and contempt for being in front of them when they had waited for 2 hours at least. The door opened, and he immediately changed back to his usual vigor, just so that the Hokage didn't worry about him. "Ohio. Ji-san. What do you want to see me for?" The Hokage smiled warmly at the presence of this blob of energy, as he would call him. He was afraid that the event before would have traumatized the boy. However, it seemed that he surprised him this time. Indeed, there wasn't a time where I didn't get surprised by him. And with that thought in mind, he chuckled as he took off his hat. Naruto returned it with a grin, because he felt more at ease, now that the old man stopped worrying. He already had so much on his shoulders, he shouldn't have to worry about minor stuff like me, so, what's he up to? Sarutobi motioned for him to follow, and activated a seal on the wall. Kai. And with a poof, a door appeared, giving it access to Hokage's library of jutsus. Naruto's eyes widened at the sight of all those scrolls in front of him, rubbing his eyes repeatedly to tell himself that it was indeed the real deal. He looked at the old man questioningly, wondering what the hell he was up to. Sarutobi merely smiled, before ruffling his hair. "Go on, pick one scroll from each section. Treat this as your birthday present. All the scrolls here are not forbidden, and though they are pretty much C rank and above jutsus, I'm sure you'll have no problem learning them, with the help of." Naruto gaped. Really? 3 scrolls? Any 3? Sarutobi laughed at the boy's enthusiasm. "Indeed, any 3. But first, it can only be chosen by you, No help allowed from the fox. Treat this as a test. Are we clear, Naruto-kun? Naruto nodded without hesitation, mentally reaching out to his tenant. Oi, Baka Kitsune. You heard that right. Yes, yes, I heard him. Now shut up and let me sleep. Naruto then grinned and gave a thumbs up, signaling an, okay, sign to the Hokage. He was literally giddy with excitement. Finally, one actual taijutsu kata, and ninjutsu. Oh yeah, Sarutobi couldn't help but chuckle at the boy's excitement. Just like his father, jumping at every opportunity to learn a jutsu. Naruto took a deep breath, before going over to the ninjutsu section, and peered over at the huge amount of scrolls laid in front of him. He had been taught by Inu-san before, on the basics of ninjutsu, and had since found out that he had more types of chakra affinities than anyone in Konoha. However, that makes things pretty complicated, yet useful at the same time. He remembered his words. Now, Naruto, having all 5 affinities is something extremely rare. I had expected wind, however, lightning and fire were the ones where I thought you might get, whereas earth and water were well, unexpected. But still, you have this rare ability to control chakra natures, thanks to a certain tenet of yours. The ability to mix the natures shall give you an advantage in the future. But for now, let's get on with the basics. Naruto almost sweat dropped when he remembered what Inu-san had told him. God, he had spent an hour lecturing him on the basis of chakra and why it was so important. He was bored to death at the end of it and had never been so glad to get rid of the Anbu. However, he still learned a fair lot. He had come to acknowledge the fact that lightning, water and earth were underlying affinities, that are hidden, in a way. Fire and wind basically were his primary elements. He chose for a while, before settling on a mid-B rank defensive wind jutsu, Fuden, K's no Fukuman, wind element, wind veil. He noticed the amused glance in the Hokage's eyes as he chose that one, and knew he had made a logical choice. Hell, he should have. Since the age of 5, Naruto had came into contact with Kyuubi, and had the shock of his life. His intellect and reflexes had increased drastically due to constant mind quarreling with the stupid fox, when the Kyuubi finally gave up in trying to act all nasty, seeing how this was going nowhere. Naruto chuckled as he remembered the look on Kyuubi's face. Think about it anymore and I won't give you one drop of my chakra when you need it. Ha, you have to give it to me, whether you like it or not. Seal. Damn you. Arg. Annoying brat. Meh. Like tenant, like host. What the hell was that? Yeah, just shut up. I swear, one day, when I get out, you'll be the first to die. You mean it, comma. Ha, I knew you didn't. Why you? Naruto snapped out of his conscious, and quickly rushed over to the genjutsu section, not wanting to waste more of the Hokage's time. This part was fairly simple. He already had in mind what jutsu he wanted. He picked up a low B rank jutsu, Ninpo, a Karaka Jiseki, ninja arts, clear trace. Ho ho, just what he needed to help with his pranks. This technique allows the user to completely mask one's trace, as the name suggests. Technically, one becomes invisible, however, it can only be used for a short period of time, and though useful, one has to completely lower their chakra levels, making it quite troublesome to perform a jutsu straight after. This technique is mainly used for infiltration purposes. Hee, infiltration indeed. Hope the Hyuga stuck-ups enjoy it. But better not push it. Hiyashi-san seemed pretty angry after that last trick, lucky he can't prove it was me. And finally, the long-awaited section of taijutsu. Interestingly, there were quite a number. However, Naruto instantly caught sight of a genjutsu placed in the area. He raised an eyebrow in confusion, looking over at the Hokage, seemingly asking him, "What the hell is going on?" Sarutobi smiled as he watched Naruto figure out his puzzle. He nodded and gave him the "go ahead" sign, wanting to see if he could dispel it. Naruto focused, just like Inu-san instructed. Concentrate, blow off the surrounding chakra layer quickly, in one swift motion. Now, Kai. And at once, the genjutsu faded, leaving the originally empty table with a huge scroll on it. He walked over to it and inspected the title, Tai Chi Jusen Shiki, Tai Chi Fist, 13 Styles. He looked it over, the scroll seemed old. The faded ink marks on the sides showed that it was recently unsealed. Kit, accept it. The old man actually allowed you to learn this style. HMPH, good decision. About time too. Can't stand the way those bullies see through your punches, Naruto ignored the snide remark and picked the scroll up, no longer hesitating, and walked back into the Hokage's office. Sarutobi motioned for him to sit, and began, in a very serious tone, "Naruto-kun, do you know why I allowed you to pick 3 scrolls from this library of mine?" Naruto scrunched up his face, trying to remember, but in the end, answered with a "no." Sarutobi grinned, just like him to forget all that he did for others. "Well, Naruto-kun. Hyuga Hiyashi has not forgotten how you helped save his daughter." At that, Naruto slapped his hand onto his head, "Of course. Hinata-chan. How can I forget?" Flashback. 5-year-old Naruto was taking a stroll in the forest on the west side of Konoha, trying to digest all those ramen he ate. He was happily enjoying nature when suddenly, he saw a huge man carrying a small bundle. He got curious and asked Kyuubi about it. Kyuubi immediately recognized the bundle as a girl from the Hyuga clan. He then advised the kid to try and stall the man for time, whilst the actual Hyuga guards arrive. Naruto didn't even think twice about it and charged at the man, yelling, "Put her down. You thief." Now that, coming from a 5-year-old, was as bad a curse as it could get. The Kumo nin sneered at him and brushed him aside with a strong punch, or tried to. It had taken all of Naruto's chakra to stick himself onto the arm of the Kumo nin. As the nin looked stupefied at his performance, he took the chance to use a chakra-enhanced punch and smashed it right into the cheek of the Kumo nin. Even though it didn't seem much, it had hurt like hell. Kyuubi had intentionally sent some of his chakra to amplify the power of the punch. Naruto quickly grabbed the girl from the Kumo nin's arms before he smashed into a tree. He tried desperately to wake her up, recognizing her as the girl that was so very shy, one of his first ever friends to be made at the playground. Hinata-chan. Hinata-chan. In his anxious acts to wake up the poor girl, Naruto forgot one vital fact. The Kumo nin was still able to move. Raiden. Habana. Thunder element. Spark. Instantly, a huge blast of electricity blasted Naruto off the ground, launching him into the air. Luckily, his reflexes allowed him to push Hinata out of the way in the nick of time. But then, he was in the air, totally defenseless. HMPH, teach you to mess with me, brat. It's over. Raiden. Shushiki. Thunder element. Shock, and once again, as that familiar feeling of paralysis filled his body, he gritted his teeth and willed the Kyuubi to heal his wounds, if only temporarily, and with some difficulty, he managed to land back onto the ground, though somewhat awkwardly. He was panting and gasping for breath, yet he took out that kunai Hokage-sama had given to him as a present just a month ago. He held it in front of him, glaring intensely at the Kumo nin, as though daring him to take a step forward. His gaze was filled with life and determination, that the Kumo nin stopped his onslaught. He knew those eyes. They looked so familiar. He began to tremble. No way, no. He's dead already. No way. Naruto had no idea what the heck he was talking about, but knew it was his chance. Desperately trying to remember the correct way of flinging a kunai, he took one quick step forward and placing all his remaining strength into that one throw and whoosh. The Kumo Nin reacted just in time, however, the kunai still embedded itself in his right shoulder, causing an angry scream to be emitted from him. His temporary fear seemed to disappear and he roared, "You'll pay for that." Naruto held out his arms, standing protectively in front of Hinata as he watched the Kumo Nin charge at him, full speed. He closed his eyes, as though waiting for the inevitable, when suddenly, a loud scream of pain was heard and a thump followed. Naruto slowly opened his eyes, only to find a beautiful woman with long blue hair and pale eyes without pupils staring at him in concern. He could handle it no longer. He fainted. Flashback end. Naruto scratched his head as he chuckled lightly, clearly embarrassed at his defeat. The Hokage watched on, amused. Now, Naruto-kun, there is no need to be humble. As a 5-year-old, you held your own against a 30-year-old Kumo Junin for 15 minutes. That's an honorable achievement. The Hyuga never forget, be it those that harm them, or those that help them. Till this date, Hyuga Hitomi still insists that you live with them. Naruto immediately shook his head, his serious nature kicking in. You know I can't, Ji-san. I'll just cause them more trouble. Hitomi-sama has been very kind to me over the past 2 years, and even before that, she helped me whenever she could. Sarutobi nodded. Good choice, even if I hate to admit it. It will indeed cause them problems with the council, and so, Hiashi-san thought up another way of repaying you. Look at that taijutsu scroll once more. Naruto opened it slightly, reading the first few lines. Taichi Jusen Shiki, combination of strength, speed, defense and fluidity. He raised an eyebrow, and looked at Sarutobi, expecting answers. Now, Naruto-kun, Hyuga clan specializes in their taijutsu, Juken, gentle fist. That style originated from the style you have in front of you. Taichi. However, it merely picked the soft aspects of that style. As you know, the Hyuga clan deem themselves a smart clan, preferring technique over raw power, and therefore, refined several aspects of their chakra control, combined it with a part of Tai Chi, to form the Juken. Naruto's eyes widened to the size of dinner plates after hearing that the scroll he had in front of him was even better than the Juken. Now, Naruto-kun, this scroll is dedicated to you, and only you. You may teach others if you want, but only after you've completely mastered this style. Also, I'm expecting a couple of surprises from you. Don't let me down. Naruto grinned and gave a bow. Hi, Hokage-sama, and was just about to go before the Hokage stopped him. Oh dear, I am getting old. You'll need this jutsu to help you. It's an A-rank jutsu that's perfect for you. Naruto opened it. Huh. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Shadow Clone Technique. Indeed, now its uses are for me to know and you to find out. Get training, young man. Ha ha ha. And with that, he dismissed the young blonde and sighed as he realized that he had to now listen to 150, possibly more arguments, treaties, suggestions, blah blah blah. With Naruto. Oi fox, which one should I study first? How would I know? I had no need for your petty jutsus. All I required was my chakra and my chakra natures. All shall burn before me. Whatever. Are you mocking me, Kit? HMPH, one day, I'll show you what I can do. HN, maybe by destroying you. Alright, cool down. Geez, just a remark. Now, which one should I begin with? Well, I reckon you should try the one that old senile just gave you. Sounds very useful. Try it. Naruto gave an unconscious nod, before speeding over to his usual training ground, number 15. It was isolated, on the east side of the village, with hardly anyone going there, due to its lack of facilities. Yet, the vast amount of space was just what Naruto needed. He placed the scroll down, and began studying over the first scroll. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, A rank, offensive, requires maximum chakra and medium chakra control. Junin class. Whoa, old man must trust me to give me this one. But I reckon it's simple. Huh, one seal. Yes. This is going to be easy. I doubt it, Kit, you couldn't even do a single Bunshin. PFT, you just shut up and watch. Naruto quickly read over the instructions of how to direct his chakra flow, and within 5 minutes, he had gotten an overall idea of it. He formed a cross mark with 2 fingers from each hand, focusing, directing all his chakra to that specific point, visualizing duplicates of himself, before shouting, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. And as expected, a huge cloud of smoke covered the area, just like what happened when he did the basic Bunshin, yet last time, there were only sickly and frail visions of the clones. This time, whoa, I got to hand it to you, this jutsu is perfect for you. Indeed it was, for standing in front of him, were 2 exact copies of, well, him. He stared at them. They stared back. So, you're me? No, that's my question. Hell no. I'm the real one here. Whatever. You're just a clone. Hey, I have feelings, you know. So, they don't last. Oh, you're going down. Try it. You're on. If there's one person on this planet that could have an argument with himself, that person would be my dumb vessel. Surprising indeed, Uzumaki Naruto. And so, a very ferocious spar ensued, and amidst the fighting and laughing and fun they Naruto was having, he couldn't help but thank whoever it was that helped him so. The tears that filled his eyes were actually due to happiness, even if it was due to sad memories. He had gained something precious once again. Thanks for letting me remember what it feels like to play with friends once again. Hey, why are you alone? The girl asked curiously as she watched the blonde boy sighing on the swing all by himself. Huh, oh, you see, he looked at her, hesitating whether or not to tell her. Well, the girl smiled a little, putting on a gently expression as she waited patiently for him to answer. I have no friends. No one likes me. That's why, he mumbled, not wanting her to see the pain behind his eyes. He quickly faked a grin, but don't worry, I'm alright. The girl pouted and placed her hands on her hip, but you're not. The boy looked at her, surprised. What? Everybody needs friends. Come on, let's play together. I'm Ino. You can call me Ino-chan. I'll be your friend. The girl smiled widely as she held out her hand, genuinely accepting the boy. The boy looked shocked for a moment, before his lips quivered. You want to be my friend? Really? You would do that? The girl gave an enthusiastic nod. Of course. Well, what's your name? The boy finally smiled, but this time, with a few tears in his eyes as he spoke out loud, I'm Naruto. Nice to meet you, Ino-chan. Kit, you really need to do something about this dreams of yours. Whoa, Kyubi. What the? Yep, and you need to do it fast. I know how much she means to you, but can't you see that pushing people away is not the solution? I'm not pushing people away. Least, I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm not strong enough. I can't protect those that are precious to me. Well, then I'll just have to make sure you train harder now, don't I? I refuse to let my vessel drown himself in misery. I'll never live it down. Okay, whatever. But, yeah, should I up my gravity capacity? Well, currently, you're undergoing level 5. I reckon you could jump straight to 8 today. We need to focus on getting the styles right. Sure thing, alright, time to wake up and get some training done. It's been 2 months since Naruto last got the scrolls from Sandaime Hokage. He has currently mastered the Genjutsu Akaraka Jiseki, Clear Trace, and he had been so kind to decorate the Hokage monuments using that jutsu that even the Anbu had no idea who had done it. Kyuubi had done his part by teaching him gravity seals. Level 1 is the basis for all shinobi, meaning they train under normal gravity. Every one time you increase your level, it doubles the gravity field, forcing your muscles to adjust. Normally, this would be suicide training, however, with Kyuubi's healing factors, it worked wonders. No longer were there baby fat on Naruto's face, his arms and legs were much more muscular than before, and he had found that it even helped with his chakra control exercises a lot. Kage Bunshin had been an immense help. Naruto had figured the trick behind it very quickly. However, it was by pure luck that he stumbled upon the god-like opportunities this technique presented. Flashback. Naruto had summoned a Kage Bunshin to keep him company as he began his training. He would spar with the other, him, as he worked through all the styles of taijutsu, one by one. Ryu, Dragon, Tora, Tiger, Kijuki, Crane, Hubby, Snake, Shishi, Lion, Saru, Monkey, Washi, Eagle, Kujira, Whale, were the basic styles. The advanced section, or basically, the styles that mix up all the above mentioned into 4 more complicated and powerful styles, would be Ryusei, Meteor, Tsuki, Moon, Taiyo, Sun, and finally, Tentu, Heaven. Ryu, Tora, Shishi, Washi focuses on strength and power. Kijuki, Hubby and Saru focuses on fluidity, flexibility, technique and speed. Kujira focuses solely on defense, stamina and to train one's mind. Ryusei is a combination of Tora, Washi and Saru. Tsuki is a combination of Shishi, Kijuki and Kujira. Taiyo is a combination of Washi, Hubby, and Ryu. And Tentu, combination of Ryu, Kijuki, Kujira and Tora. Taichi Jusen Shiki combines speed and agility, with strength and defense, totally different from the original Tai Chi fist. Chapter 1 clearly states that to master all the styles would be foolish, for one's body can only adapt to so many types of trainings, and if beyond a certain point, muscles will contract and relax at the most inopportune moments, and eventually cause the whole body to break down. The final 4 styles act as a guideline, to show the combinations possible. And it is highly recommended that one trains in no more than 4 styles at the most. However, there has yet to be one to master the Tentu style, for within it, contains the essence of all aspects of combat. And of course, Naruto, being his stubborn old self, immediately decided to train the Tentu style. And so he started straight away, carefully reading up the positions and ways to use the strength. Currently, Naruto had no problem with Tora and Kujira, seeing that his stamina was off the charts and his strength was good enough, to say the least. However, Ryu proved to be challenging as it used more than just power. It required precision, accuracy and above all, control. Kijuki was even harder. Control was the main issue. Fluidity was okay-ish for Naruto, and speed was acceptable. Today, he was working on Ryu no Kame, dragon style, and his clone was helping out, when he accidentally used too much power, smashing the clone into another tree, causing it to go, poof, in a cloud of white smoke. Naruto sighed as he walked over to the tree and looked at the damage he caused. However, before he even reached there, what? Oh, so that's why I blasted him off. Sigh. Control went off on that strike. Wait a minute. How did I know that? And then came the brilliant discovery. Kage Bunshin's shadow clones transfer whatever information they gained during their existence to the user once they are dismissed. And this, if used for training, whoa. Flashback end. And so, Naruto began. He first created 5 clones, getting 3 of them to work on the Kijuki no Kame, whereas he himself and the other 2 continued to go crazy over the frustrating Ryu no Kame. 5 clones became 10, 10 became 20, 20 became 50. And in just 2 months, Naruto was able to efficiently train alongside 50 clones, gaining an immense amount of knowledge every time they disappear. The rush of information to his head was handled by Kyuubi, preventing the data overload from affecting his nervous system. It had sorted out everything as quickly as it could, and soon, Naruto found that he was on the verge of mastering Tentu style. And he wasn't exactly surprised. What's more, Kyuubi had informed him that the pinnacle of taijutsu was to be able to use one's chakra nature to help him out. As for Naruto, Kyuubi had merely smirked and guffawed before telling the kid to leave him alone and hurry his training. Oh, surprises, surprises. And so, he trains 8 hours a day. 8 times 51 gives 408 hours a day. And 408 times 61 days. 24,888 hours, yeah. That's a lot of training done in a mere 2 months. His usually crappy chakra control has been refined by Kujira no Kame to the point where he could stick himself onto surfaces and not slip. Now, that worked brilliantly on the Hokage when he walked into the office via the ceiling. His chakra capacity increased daily, and having the gravity seals on was just an added bonus in his training regime. The calories he burned off due to training, he got them back by eating at least 10 bowls of ramen at Ichiraku every day. His allowance from the Hokage increases over the years until he is deemed able to make a living for himself, i.e. when he becomes a genin. There was one place, however, that he would visit quite frequently. The Hyuga Manor. And here he was again, back at his second home, as he would call it. He had just finished a day of training and had decided to drop in for a visit. The Bunk Branch family guards knew him well and treated him as an equal. Now that, coming from the almighty Hyuga clan, as Naruto would call them, was a big thing. However, Naruto detests the laws implemented on both the Soke main family and the Bunk members. In his opinion, the seal was just downright cruel, and the main family members have to train themselves to the point of exhaustion just to make sure they do not dishonor their clan. However, not once did Naruto voice his opinions, but everyone could see his apparent disapproval whenever he's visiting. Like right now, as he passed by several rooms, the intense training undergone by the members could be seen clearly. It was unnerving. And how some even have the nerve to blame it all on fate. Ugh, that just totally puts me off. He had seen Hyuga Neji, who had ignored him from the start, determined that he, Naruto, was a mere weakling who had chanced upon an opportunity to rescue Hinata-sama, and therefore had the backing of Hiashi-sama, and it was all because of fate. Honestly, Naruto had never heard so much bull crap from anyone since he was born. After that speech, Naruto could only stuff his fist inside his mouth, to prevent himself from screaming out in rage at the pure stupidity and cowardice that this guy was showing. And the way he was treating Hinata and Hanabi was no better. He treated them like dirt. Manners, yes he has them, but his glare was enough to show that whatever polite terms he had used were totally insincere. He could not understand why Hinata just had to be so kind, and poor Hanabi, not even understanding why her cousin was so angry. She was still a toddler, yet already, she was beginning to train under her father. He had heard something about how Neji's father died, but never ventured on any further, upon seeing the hurt in Hiashi's eyes. Naruto sighed as he shook his head, damn I think too much, oh here we are. And sure enough, there he was, standing outside the room, waiting for permission to enter. Which of course, he got within a second but that's beside the point. Come on in Naruto-kun. Naruto obliged and quietly slid open the door. Hyuga Hitomi was 31 years old, with long flowing navy blue hair tied up in a white ribbon. Her skin was silky white, something that Hinata picked up. Her eyes were kind and her touch was always gentle. She was the most caring person Naruto has ever known, besides Sandaime Jizen of course. She wasn't stiff and strict like Hiashi was half the time, no, she genuinely cared about people's well-being. She treats Naruto as a son, and that is something Naruto will never forget. Whenever he had troubles, he confided them to her. She was one of his precious people, definitely. Hinata and Hanabi would follow close behind, especially Hanabi, who had taken to him immediately, grabbing his blonde hair and giggling as she played with it. Hinata was like a younger sister to her, and he swore that he would protect her if anything ever happened to her. One thing that never changes for Naruto is the fact that he always keeps his promise. And because of that, he has gained the trust of the Hyuga sisters and their parents. As he was indulged in his train of thoughts, Hitomi smiled and said, "So, what brings you here, Naruto-kun?" He snapped out of his trance and gave a tired smile. "Well, something's bothering me." Hitomi knew that smile. It was his, "God damn it, life sucks," smile. If you could even call that a smile. She sighed and motioned for him to come closer, before hugging him gently and listening to his woes. Naruto had told her before, those dreams he had. She and all the other parents knew the truth behind what he did, and wanted to explain to their own children, but Naruto shook his head, telling Hitomi that it would just make things worse. The problem with Naruto is, he thinks about the others too much. Not just that, he rarely cares about himself. So selfless, so gentle and caring. You wouldn't expect such quality in a boy at his age. Naruto-kun, why don't you accept Ino as your friend once again? I'm sure she'll forgive. No, I can't. Last time we were friends, those Chunin were about to beat her up as well. I like her, Hitomi-sama, I really do. But, and Sakura-chan too, I can't do this to them. This is my burden, so I'll carry it myself. This is my story, and no one else can change it but me. I'll do whatever I can to protect them, even if it means that they'll end up hating me, I'll do it. Naruto's eyes shone with such determination that Hitomi couldn't help chuckling at. He's so much like him, like they said, like father, like son. Okay then, Naruto-kun. Well, do you feel better now? Naruto grinned and gave a big nod, yup. Arigato, Hitomi-sama. Hitomi sighed and gently tapped his forehead. How many times have I told you, there is no need to call me, Sama. I'm not that old, you know. Well, Obasan isn't any better in my opinion, ow. Hey, baka. Hitomi then took out a brush and began to gently comb his hair. Naruto-kun, I've always wondered, what having a son was like. Naruto froze, his heart threatened to stop beating any moment. Is she? I would like you to become my son, even if we're not related by blood. I would still like to be able to call you my Sochi son. Do you accept me as a sort of surrogate mother? Can I have the honor of you calling me your Hahouya mother? Naruto began to tremble. He was just about to speak, before Hitomi spoke once again. No, Naruto-kun, I know what you're thinking. You told me once that you do not want to be adopted, and that you like the freedom you have, and I agree with you and respect your decision, but don't you think that even the mightiest of birds would need to return to their very own nest to rest their wings? Tears were threatening to fall any second. He bit his lips, but, the council. Hitomi shook her head. You are not of the Hyuga clan, they can't do anything about it, we can't adopt you, even though I've been trying for years to be able to do that, but, that doesn't mean I can't love you as a son now, does it? She smiled warmly. Besides, I'm sure Hinata would like to have you as a brother. Hanabi too. They adore you, Naruto-kun. Hitomi now. Come on, Hiyashi, say something. Naruto whirled around, shock evident in his eyes as the leader of the Hyuga clan, Hyuga Hiyashi was standing right there, smiling slightly. What is your surname, Naruto? Naruto raised an eyebrow, before answering, Uzumaki, sir. Do you have any blood relationships with the Hyuga clan? No, sir. Have you been taken into our custody? Not that I know of. Well, then, I don't see anything wrong with that. Now, come on, Hinata, Hanabi, say hello to your new brother. Hiyashi stepped aside, revealing two girls who smiled brightly before dashing into the room and latching themselves onto Naruto, Onachan. Older brother. Naruto gave a slight yelp at the sudden weight increase on his body and fell onto the floor, with Hanabi giggling nonstop, cuddling him like her teddy bear, whereas Hinata merely hugged him gently and gave him a genuine smile. Hitomi and Hiyashi laughed at the scene before them, especially when Hanabi began to play Naruto's spiky hair. It was hilarious. In the end, Naruto had allowed her to do it. However, whenever his gaze met with the two of them, a mutual understanding was established. Arigato, Kasen. We love you, Naruto-kun, as much as Hinata and Hanabi. Never ever forget that there will always be ones who care for you. Never forget that. And even though it might not have seemed very special to the Hyugas, seeing how they were already treating him as a part of the family, Naruto had found something precious once again. He had 4 more precious people to protect, and that made him happy to no end. So what do you say? Be friends with me. Ino-chan. A arigato. Naruto-kun. Can, will you be my friend? Sakura-chan. Yes, I will. But not yet. I will train to be stronger, until I'm sure that I can protect you, but for now, please, forgive me, for not being able to return your friendship. Not bad, but it still needs refining, I reckon. But great job so far. Your form and nature manipulation definitely came a long way, Gaki. Naruto was panting as he eyed the damage done to the poor tree by his very own original jutsu. It was incredible, and he was proud. However, he knew that wasn't all. The jutsu had the potential to end up as an A-rank assassination jutsu. The speed it requires to charge and execute was a lot faster than some other jutsus. Kyuubi had told him where his fire affinity came from. And since 8, where he met her, he began to train like crazy, doubling the number of kage bunshin he would use, now averaging around 200 a day. It was a magnificent way of training. Kuso, arg, I'm exhausted. Groaned Naruto as he slowly sat down on the forest ground, resting against a tree, as his mentor grinned sadistically. Ooh, come now, Gaki, you don't want me to double your training regime, do you? Naruto sighed. Look, leave me alone for just 2 minutes, okay? I'm not kidding. She raised an eyebrow. HMPH, seems like you have a limit too. But nevertheless, I am amazed at your progress. Nay, Naru-chan, how much further do you think this jutsu can go? Naruto grunted at his nickname and replied, I reckon I may finish it sometime soon, a few days maybe, and don't call me that. She smirked widely. Oh, is little Naru-chan all grown up and independent now? Is he so strong that he can ignore his oh-so-caring Nei-chan? Naruto snorted. You've got to be kidding me. Caring. Right. You didn't seem to mind that you were throwing 50 kunais per minute at me when I was just an 8-year-old. And making me run around this crazy forest, trying to stop you from literally killing me, you can still call yourself caring. Yup. And with that, she took out another stick of dango and began to eat it, clearly ignoring Naruto's earlier comment. Naruto growled in frustration. If there ever was such a freaking annoying woman in the world that I absolutely have no idea how to get her off my nerves, it would be Mitarashi Anko, with Hanabi and Hinata following closely behind. However, said woman was happily engorging herself in the pleasures of consumption, and couldn't care less about what was going through his mind. It all started the year before. Flashback. Naruto was training in the patch of forest just next to the fenced-off area named Training Area No. 44. He had already got his Tentu style down, and began training on his ninjutsu. His futon, Kei's no Fukuman, wind element, wind veil, can now be executed in the blink of an eye. Kyuubi is now guiding him through the ways of manipulating chakra nature, mainly how to control fire. Naruto was exhilarated when he managed to create a blue flame in his palm. He created a small C-rank fire jutsu for himself and had even gotten the Hokage to approve it. He named it Kaiden, Shakaku, fire element, crimson flame ball, due to the fact that it was literally creating a small ball of fire within your palm. You can adjust its size depending on your control and chakra capacity, and let's say, you wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of it. Yes, and that was the start of his very own collection of original jutsus. He currently had 2 on the list, well, technically 1.5, but meh, details, who needs them? And so here he was, training diligently, trying to think of another jutsu that could help him, and that was when he saw 2 kunoichis appear on the side of Training Area 44, arguing intensely. From what Naruto could pick up due to his slightly enhanced senses, it seemed as though the black-haired woman was ranting about how she finally had the chance to get revenge, and how the snake bitch was going down. And without warning, the purple-haired female was struck right in the chest, and just as she was about to block, her friend had slammed a kunai into her shoulder, pinning her to the tree. Naruto raged at the sight of that. He hated those who looked down on others, and he did what he thought was right. He charged up his Shakaku and took aim. Haha. Didn't see it coming now, did you, Anko? Even the Hokage got fooled by me. All I had to do was pretend to be a goody girl and he let me team up with you. That old senile. Now die. And just as the psycho was about to plunge the kunai into her heart, Naruto flung his fireball as hard as he could, right into her back. The fiery chakra ball detonated on contact and sent the kunoichi flying into the fences surrounding the area, effectively knocking her unconscious. Naruto actually forgot to gape at his jutsu's power, and rushed to help the purple-haired woman pinned to the tree. He had inwardly yelled at Kyuubi for help and the fox had grumbled the reply back to him. So he did as he was told. He channeled some fire-natured chakra to his fingers, and tapped multiple spots that Kyuubi had pointed out. The woman looked surprised at Naruto's ability to temporarily close nerve points to lessen the pain. What's more, the fiery feeling she got was oddly comforting, soothing her nerves. And when he pulled the kunai out, it didn't even hurt. Little did Naruto know, he had just learned one of the most effective ways of treating a kunai wound. It was Anbu class, and a definite knowledge required. Of course, it was rarely used in times of combat, seeing how you do not have the leisure to be busy tapping yourself when the enemy could be throwing more kunais at you. But off the battlefield, it was a necessity. The woman watched on amused as the kid busied himself in getting the kunai off, and muttered, "Who are you? Why are you helping me?" Naruto merely grinned as he successfully removed the obstacle and placed her onto the ground. He gave a sigh of relief before wiping off the sweat on his head. "Inu-san. I know you're there." And as expected, said Anbu jumped into the clearing and ruffled Naruto's hair. "I swear you're getting better at this every day. Now, Naruto, I need you and Anko to come with me to see the Hokage for a moment." 5 minutes later, he got the shock of his life. He had just assisted in an A- rank mission. Him, an 8-year-old kid. Woohoo! The purple-haired brunette turned out to be a Tokubetsu Junin, Special Junin, Mitarashi Anko. Inu-san was supposed to lead his squad as backup. It was a plot to capture that spy from Iwagakure, hidden village of stone. The Hokage had commended him on his help and said, "Now, Naruto, a few days ago, remember when I asked you whether you would like a mentor to help you in your training?" After receiving a very enthusiastic nod, Sarutobi smiled, "Well, since you both met, I guess introductions are in order." Naruto's eyes widened to the size of plates. He just saved his new sensei. Whoa. Yo. You did pretty well back there. What's the name? Gaki. Uzumaki Naruto. Future Hokage. Oh, ambitious aren't we? Yep. Well, guess it's you and me now. You ready, Gaki? I won't take it easy on you. No prob. Flashback end. And that was how Naruto came to add another precious person to his list. Mitarashi Anko turned out to be quite the protective sister. Her ways of showing affection were unique, yeah. Let's end it at that. Alright, brat. Break's over. Now, time to check up on your reflexes. What do ya say? Anko was fingering a very sharp kunai with that mischievous glint in her eyes and that sadistic smirk on her face. Oh crap, here we go again. And indeed, the next few hours of Naruto's training need not be revealed, yeah. Few hours later, Naruto was dragging his battered body back to his apartment, where he took a quick shower, and changed into a clean set of clothes, before setting off for the Hyuga mansion. Today was the day where he promised little Hanabi that he would take her on a trip to that little forest just outside of Konoha. It was Hitomi who suggested it, and Hinata would go as well, along with a branch member, Kareki-san, as an escort. Hanabi had been bugging him for a while and so he had agreed to this plan. After all, he did need to relax for a while after enduring that torture session. How can you even call that training? Crazy. Yo. Kareki-san. I assume we're all ready to go. Naruto grinned as he looked up at one of the strongest females in the clan, not to mention one of the prettiest. Kareki smiled lightly and gave a nod, before replying, "Hanabi-sama is just getting dressed, Hinata-sama is in the living room, saying goodbye." "Ah, here they are. Naruto ni-chan. Oof," was the only reaction she got as she tackled her brother onto the ground. Naruto grumbled, "Geez, Hanabi-chan, you really need to stop this. You could have killed me." He grabbed at his heart in mock hurt. "Meanie," pouted Hanabi as she crossed her arms, trying to look like her father, and failing miserably. She was just too cute that way. Naruto couldn't help it and hugged her gently before carrying her in his arms and setting her on his shoulders. "Okay, I'm sorry. Here, for the rest of the night, you get to enjoy the Sugoi Tokubetsu Naruto Keikei, amazing special Naruto view. How's that sound?" Hanabi gave a squeal in glee as she made herself comfortable by flopping the upper half of her body onto Naruto's hair, snuggling in its warmth. For some unfathomable reason, Hanabi just can't get enough of Naruto's hair. Is it the shampoo? Must be. Hey, is she sniffing? Phew, ow. She's pulling. Grr, honestly, what is so damn special about my hair? Just then, a soft voice called out, "Maybe it's because it's so randomly arranged, and spiky, hee hee. Kanbana, good evening, Naruto ni-san." Naruto gave her his usual foxy grin and gave her a quick hug, before greeting Hitomi at the doors. "Kasen, don't worry, I'll protect those two if it's the last thing I do. Hee hee. Well, we're off." Just then, another male branch member appeared at the doors, along with Hiashi. "Just a minute, Hitomi-sama, I feel that having two guards is a safer bet. Please, allow me to accompany them." "I've already gotten Hiashi-sama's consent." Hitomi narrowed her eyes slightly, before looking at her husband. She saw his gaze and reluctantly gave a nod. This guy's name was Akisu, one of the guys that Naruto hated instantly. And Naruto frowned at the new addition to the team. He gazed at Hitomi, only to see her smile slightly, tilting her head as usual, giving him reassurance, and that was all he needed. Kureki didn't know Akisu too well, but disliked him due to his pompous attitude and his bad temper. He had been acting a bit weird lately, and has always eyed the two heirs to the clan with contempt. Why then, was he volunteering? However, upon seeing Hiyashi-sama's glance, she gave a nod, before they set off, with her leading the front, and Akisu flanking the rear. Naruto was right behind her, entertaining Hanabi and Hinata as they went. Now, the forest they were going to was special. How? Well, it was the place where the waterfall was the most famous place to sightsee in the Fire Country. It was beautiful, with pebbles glittering under the soft moonlight, and the soft whispers of the water were able to calm your tense nerves in a matter of moments. The moonlight silhouette added a mysterious feel to the whole place, not to mention that it was a great place to stargaze. It was chosen by Naruto, after some research and pestering with the Hokage, and Hitomi couldn't have been more satisfied. And as expected, Hinata and Hanabi totally adored their destination. It was gorgeous. Naruto had to admit, it looked even better than some of the pictures taken. Kureki gave a sigh as she made herself comfortable under a tree, and whilst keeping an eye on the children, she too relaxed under the quiet moon. Hinata and Hanabi played lightly with the water, gently spraying each other a little here and there, with Naruto laughing and playing with them. It was tranquil, yet, Naruto couldn't help but frown. Something was off. Oi, Kuso Kitsune, you sense anything? That Akisu guy, he just ticks me off. HMPH, that tone will not get you anywhere. And I care because. Grr, fine, I'm going to sleep. Okay, I'm kidding. Now honestly, what is up with that guy? Just be on your guard. Treat this as a sort of mission, and respect it. Nothing should go wrong. Okay then. Thanks. Did I hear right? This ungrateful brat just said. I take it back. Shame. And with that, he cut off the link and resumed in his fun and laughter. Akisu merely stood there, stone-faced, totally serious. He activated his Byakugan secretly and smirked when he saw them coming. Oh yeah, it's time. Ha! Time to die, demon scum. Oh, not to mention those disgusting main house brats. Hope they enjoy their afterlife, without their precious eyes. He walked casually towards Kureki and pretended as though there was something behind her. Hey! Look out! Kureki's eyes shot open and she spun around, only to feel an immense pain in her back as she felt the kunai plunge into her body, eliciting a scream from her. Naruto's head shot up at that and saw Kureki being punched right into the cliff beside the waterfall, temporarily disabling her. His sadistic smirk was all Naruto needed to tell that something very, very bad was about to happen. Indeed, without warning, a fist lodged itself firmly in his cheek, blasting him into the trees, making him cough up blood. Hanabi screamed as the guy that assaulted them grabbed her roughly and struck several pressure points, temporarily paralyzing her. The man turned out to be a Kumo missing nin, seeing how there was a slash on his headband. Hanabi. Hinata was just about to rush over when Akisu slapped her right in the face, before giving her a punch straight in the stomach, rendering her helpless as she kicked him away. Hey, Muraki. All done. Ha! That will teach them to disrespect me. Now, as planned, should we kill the her? Mumbled Akisu to the missing nin as he jerked his thumb towards Kureki, only to find that she wasn't there. Scum! Yelled Kureki as she slammed a Juken strike right in his side, before following up with a kick, only to find that it was blocked by the missing nin. Muraki sneered as he slammed his fist down on her leg, breaking the bones and using his immense strength, he flung her away. Kureki was doing all she could to not faint from the pain she was put through. This was unreal. A normal play trip transformed into an A- rank protection mission. What's worse, she's on the losing end. Akisu activated his Byakugan and rushed in to challenge her. Kureki, needless to say, was subdued after a few strikes, seeing how she was severely injured. Akisu took out a kunai and smashed it into her shoulder, pinning her to the tree. Her screams were ignored as Akisu didn't so much as look at her, before walking over to Naruto. HMPH, demon brat, I finally get to kill you. Think of all the honor I will get. Naruto suddenly went, poof, into a cloud of smoke, and that was when Akisu knew he was in trouble. Take that, yelled Naruto as he drove his fist right in his gut, administering Tora no Kame. He continued the combo with an uppercut, sending him into the air, before gathering chakra into his feet. He too leapt into the air with 2 roundhouse kicks. He bashed Akisu right in the head, and was about to finish him off when all of a sudden, Raiden, Rakurai, Thunder Element, Lightning Bolt. And before Naruto could even react, a huge bolt of electricity coursed through his body, sending spasms through his nervous system, totally messing up his coordination, not to mention it hurt like crazy. Naruto Nissan, screamed Hinata as Akisu held a kunai to her throat. Demon, either you let me kill you, or I kill her. Your choice. Muraki, take that girl and run. I'm sure that someone would have noticed the explosion you caused by now. Go. Muraki merely glared, but did as he was told. However, before he could take even one step, he frowned, as a dozen or so clones were surrounding him, determined on not letting him go. Hanabi felt helpless. She hated seeing her beloved brother in pain. What's worse, she